is Fluffy, and I like to draw with my markers. Serena, get my markers.
Okay, Fluffy.
Oh no! My markers! Don't worry, Fluffy. I will sort your markers for you. The first sort we are going to do to fix Fluffy's markers is the merge sort. In the merge sort, the array is split up into its smallest subunits, and the subunits are merged as they are sorted. So here we start with all of the markers in one array. Then we split them up. Then we split these up into subunits again. And then we split them up again, so now each array is only one element. Now we are going to be sorting in rainbow order. We compare in pairs, and then we sort them and merge them back together. So in this pair, this comes first, and then this. In this pair, blue comes before purple. This pair, orange comes before light blue. In this pair, red comes before green. Now we compare the first element in each array. This comes before this. Comparing these two, this one comes first. Then comparing these two, this one comes first. And then that's left. Now we compare the first element in these two arrays. When you compare these two, this one comes first. When you compare these two, this one comes first. Compare these two, this one comes first. And then that one. Now we have two arrays. And we compare the first element again. Comparing these two, red comes first. Comparing these two, orange comes first. Comparing these two, yellow comes first. Comparing these two, green comes first. Comparing these two, this comes first. And now this must be sorted because there's none left in the other array. Now all the markers are sorted in rainbow order, and Fluffy can be happy. An alternate method to help Fluffy out is the quick sort. In the quick sort, you pick a pivot in the middle of the array and move elements so that they are on the appropriate side of the pivot. We keep track of which elements are being compared by using two counters represented by these two pieces of paper. So when we pick the pivot, we can pick a pivot that's around the middle. So I'm going to choose the orange marker. Then, starting from the outside in, we compare the elements to the pivot. All of the markers that come after orange in the rainbow should be on this side, and all of the markers that come before orange should be on this side. So starting from here, when we compare this to orange and this to orange, this comes after, and this also comes after. Since this is in the right spot, we can move to the next one. Because this is in the wrong spot, we keep the marker here. Since this is supposed to be before orange, and this is supposed to be after orange, we can switch them. And then we can move on to the next element because they're both on the right side. This one is supposed to come after orange, and this one is also supposed to come after. Since this is in the right spot, we can move on. Since now this one is at the pivot, and this has to come after the pivot, we can switch it with the pivot. Now we continue moving this marker this way. This is supposed to come after orange, so it's in the right spot. This is also supposed to come after orange, so it's in the right spot. Now, since both of the markers have made it to the pivot, that means the pivot is in the right spot. And now we have these two separate arrays. Since this array is only one element, it is sorted. Now we come across this array, and we have to sort it like we did the first array. We choose a pivot that's around the middle, so I'm going to choose this blue marker. Now we start from the outside again, and we compare. This is supposed to come before the light blue marker, and this is supposed to come after the light blue marker. so we switch them. And then we move on to the next element. This is supposed to come after, so it's in the right spot. This one's also supposed to come after, so it's in the wrong spot. Since this is right, we move to the next one. Since this has to come after the pivot, we switch them. Now we continue moving in this direction. Since this needs to come before the pivot, we switch them. And now both of them are at the pivot. Both of the markers are at the pivot, so we know that this is in the right spot. And we have two unsorted arrays again. For this array, since there are only two elements, we can choose either one to be the pivot. So I'll just choose the yellow one. Since this has to come before the pivot, we switch them, and we know the pivot's in the right spot. And then since there's only one element left, we know that it is sorted. This array will choose the pink middle one to be the pivot. This needs to come before the pivot, which is correct. Well, this one also is supposed to come before, so this one's in the wrong spot, so we move to the next one. Since this is in the wrong spot, we need to switch it with the pivot. And then we know that the pivot's in the right spot. And now we have this unsorted array. Since there are only two elements again, you can choose either one to be the pivot. I'll just choose the blue one. Since this has to come after the pivot, this has to come after the blue one. You know that this is here. The pivot is in the right spot now, since they both made it to the pivot. And now since there's only one element left, it's in the right spot. And now Fluffy's markers are sorted.
Oh yay! My markers are all sorted! I'm so happy! And it's not because of the Cheerios!